With the 2023 season already showing itself behind the curtains, we cannot help but wonder what is going to happen on the W14. This car is the most interesting one compared to all the others because the Silver Arrows didn't understand the technical regulations. And now the recent reports coming from Brackley are very encouraging. However, there is one thing that we need to pay attention to, and that's the livery of the car as well. What will the new Mercedes look like? Will the W14 lose a lot of weight? And what are realistic expectations for Mercedes compared to Ferrari and Red Bull? It seems like an old friend will make a return, so stick around with us to find out more. Mercedes have set the 15th of February as the release date for the W14, a car that's supposed to pull the team out of the dirt that they've put themselves in since 2022. And not understanding the technical regulations in 2022, Mercedes put themselves in a miserable position and were outperformed heavily by their top rivals. Who would have thought that a team so dominant, a team that almost made the FIA tweak the regulations just a couple of years ago in order to level the playing field, would fall off so drastically in just one season? The no-pod side-pod design was labeled as an innovative one, and F1 fans thought that the season was over before it started. But boy, how wrong have we been! Mercedes did nothing spectacular in their first season out of the technical regulations, as they bounced and bounced on the main straights and in the high-speed corners. However, the story in 2023 is going to change drastically, and we're going to see a car that will absolutely shock every F1 fan. While the team has introduced new changes to the floor and the rear of the car, many thought that the W14 would gain weight due to the increased thickness of the car. After Wolff's recent statements, fans were encouraged otherwise, and Mercedes couldn't wait for Bahrain to arrive sooner. But before we go into that, let's see what the fans would like the Mercedes car to look like in the first place. The silver color made a return in 2022, and it seems like it brought bad luck to the team after the black livery with silver arrows has been labeled as one of the most beautiful designs from Mercedes. Fans have taken things further than imagination, with some of them actually portraying the Mercedes car and how they would like it to look. One of the fans has drawn his own perception of the car, and while it had the silver color retained with the black color being more present on the back of the car, it's definitely a design that other fans have fallen in love with. But there is one huge change in this design, which is the side pod design. The fan concept has a similar side pod design as Red Bull, and the fan labeled it as a proper side pod construction. And other fans haven't been particularly happy with that design because the team has worked so hard on the no-pod side pod design, and ditching that would be a huge mistake. But what exactly is new when it comes to the car's design? In terms of packaging and under the floor, the car is going to experience massive changes. Now that the car has been increased by 10 mm in the floor section and 15 mm in the side section, the Venturi channels and diffuser throat are going to experience massive improvements. With the side pod containing a similar conformation to the W13 with vertical inlets at the front, the car will look to fight on the front row now that the FIA has assisted them in tweaking the rules. The rear of the car has been worked on as well, and one thing that has changed in this aspect is that the back of the car is going to be less tapered. There are two reasons why this change has been applied to the W14, with the first being of an aerodynamic nature, with a flat section at the level of the rear suspension, which goes on to form a T-shape at the rear to increase the efficiency of the diffuser by exploiting the beam wing. On the other hand, the second reason has more of a structural nature because the large open floor space at the bottom of the W13 was one very flexible part of the ends, and for the team to counteract the phenomenon, the thickness has increased at the project level, which would go on to increase the weight of the car. But is the car actually headed into the season with an increased weight? Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were able to drive the car in the simulator, and they were very happy with what they got back as a result. The car wasn't porpoising at all. And while this could be because the simulator itself isn't able to pick up the oscillations, as it wasn't able to do so back in 2022, hope dies last. Mercedes' new software in this area gives fans hope that the team will enter the 2023 season with a dominant car, one that will not bend its knee to Ferrari and Red Bull. According to recent reports, Mercedes is definitely one of the teams that we need to pay close attention to, and one of the main reasons for this is the report about the weight loss of the car. Ahead of the 2023 season, reports say that Mercedes has built a car that's lighter by 12 kilograms than its predecessor, the W13. If this turns out to be the truth, then Mercedes will head into the 2023 season as one of the strongest cars on the grid and one that has lost the most weight during the winter break. And to top this off, it seems like Mercedes is going to bring back the silver and black livery for the upcoming season, one that is very similar to the fans' design on Twitter. An official fan page profile wrote about this matter on Twitter, saying, "The Mercedes-AMG W14e Performance will have a silver and black livery, not full silver or black livery, based on the latest information. The W14 is 12 kilograms lighter than the W13 currently, also making the car 3 kilograms underweight." This is a significant advancement in Mercedes car development, and if they go out there with a car that is 3 kilograms under the imposed limit of 796 kilograms, you can bet they will be a championship contender. Keep in mind that they are the team that has the most time to spend in the wind tunnel facilities compared to their fiercest rivals, Red Bull and Ferrari. Now that most of their problems revolve around the aerodynamic prospects of the car, they will have more than enough time to spend in the facilities that are responsible for fixing these issues. And if we were Ferrari or Red Bull, we would have been massively scared for our future. So, what would be the issue with Mercedes building such a lightweight car? You would think that with them having as light a car as possible, it would make them extremely fast, and they would just cruise to the win with a 20-second advantage over the second-place driver, similar to what Verstappen did in 2022, right? It's not that easy, and if the car has indeed suffered from a 12-kilogram weight loss, it's hard to say whether the modifications that the silver arrows introduced to the W14 will be in line with the new regulations introduced ahead of the upcoming season. From 2023 on, the weight limit of F1 cars is set at 796 kilograms, and if the rumors are to be believed, the W14 will be 793 kilograms heavy. The porpoising on the straights was one of the main reasons why Mercedes wanted to fix the weight issue, but at the end of the 2022 season, we've seen that even with a car that's not that heavy, the porpoising was nowhere to be found. The Silver Arrows drivers will have a very interesting clash between them in 2023, and if they are indeed competing for the championship, then we will likely witness a season that will be very similar to the one that Mercedes experienced back in 2016. Sure, they were the most dominant team there, with Red Bull and Ferrari picking up the slack from the Silver Arrows, but that is not likely to happen in the upcoming season given the increased competition from Ferrari and Red Bull. All in all, Mercedes will have to look for a different solution regarding bringing themselves back on the competitive path. And if we're going to judge by the original statements made by Wolff and both drivers, the bluff game is still on, and Mercedes is working heavily in the background. The only time Mercedes stated they were underdogs prior to the start of the season, and were actually underdogs, was in 2022. It's very unlikely that this will happen for 2 consecutive seasons, now that Mercedes has analyzed the entire data collected in 2022 and used it to build the perfect car for 2023. Hamilton is going to strike for the 8th record-breaking championship in 2023, and whether that will turn out to be the outcome for him, only time will tell. What do you think will happen next with Mercedes? Do you think that they have what it takes to win the championship with the new car? Let us know in the comments below.